Well, welcome back to episode number 3 of Pardon My Growth.
Yeah.
There's a Pardon Our Growth, I forget.
Pardon. You're going to get in my head. Pardon My Growth, yeah.
Right. I told a friend about it, and he thought it was about talking about women or something. Like, Pardon My Growth, and it's like boners.
I thought you were going to say that you accidentally called it like Pardon Their Growth or something.
No.
Gotcha. Pardon Your Growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a little recap of comedy this week.
Mm-hmm.
I only did, last Sunday and Tuesday at the Iowa Brewing Company.
Yeah.
I didn't do too well, I don't think. It was a weird week. I started a new job, so it was kind of my mind was somewhere else the entire week.
That puts you in a weird place, yeah.
Yeah. But I did sell a roof my first time, so I was pretty pumped.
Yeah.
I just showed up and sold a roof, so I was like, all right, cool. I think I'll like this job. This seems pretty easy. But I know it's not easy, but
right.
It's
yeah, you have those things sometimes where like you're new to something and like it feels like it went really well and easily, and you're like, oh, okay, that's all. That's nothing. But then, then you get into it and you're like, oh, not every day is like this or whatever.
I was very scared of Andy Ellie being there, but he wasn't. My first day wasn't going to make me take my shirt off in front of everybody and try and sell him a car. But yeah, I was pretty pumped. And I kind of know what dopamine is now. After that, I think dopamine's the thing that helps you chase your goal. Keeps you going.
Sure.
So now, as soon as I sold that roof, I'm like, all right, all I have to do now is just keep selling roofs. Like keep selling jobs or roofs or windows or whatever. So it's that thing's been planted into me. So I didn't have caffeine all week or anything, so I was pretty pumped. But and I get a truck tomorrow. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme, but I ain't gay no more.
I am delivered. Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that because that white car is a whole story. So once I get done with it, I'll be able to tell it. So
that's cool.
How was your weekend then? You said you did a Scube?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Scube is my main event in Cube. I did a speed cubing competition. This is always weird whenever I talk about this kind of stuff because I try to like figure out like what's the high level like way to say stuff that people like kind of can follow what I'm saying or whatever. But yeah, anyway, so I competed in all the events they had. It was in Ankeny. Algs in Ankeny is what it's called. And so I competed in 3x3. That's for the layman. That's the standard Rubik's Cube that you're familiar with. 4x4, which is the bigger version of one of the next step up of it, right? So 3x3, 4x4. Scube, which is like this weird one that just has corners and centers and it like turns on this diagonal. Pyraminx and Square One. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. Was that 5 of them? I think that's all what it was. Yeah. Anyway, so I did pretty well throughout the day. I have a new personal record in competition for 4x4 single, 4x4 average, 3x3 single, and Scube average.
Nice. So
I was pretty happy with that. Just the only shitty part of the day was that I choked in Scube finals and got 2 8-second solves in a row, followed by like a 4, 3, and a 4. So like the rest went fine, but just the first 2 solves were it's kind of shaking off the jitters of finals, and then also just like you get that late in the day. I don't know why I always get a pounding headache when I go to these things. Like by the end of the day, I think it's maybe because like there's a lot of it's just like the momentum of the day, it just doesn't stop. So like, and there's all this mental drain of like focusing on these solves, like doing all these solves and stuff.
Autism in the air.
Yeah, there's too much autism. It just kind of, you breathe that in, dude. If it's too much, man, it's a lot for the head. But yeah, like I don't think I think I also just don't eat enough food and drink enough water. It seems I feel like I do, but I think maybe I need more water and then I just don't do it or something. And so
dehydrated.
But yeah, you get kind of tired by that time of the day, and then also like your hands get weird. That's the weird thing about competing in something like this is because you're using your fingers, you like the dexterity, and so like. And then like if the room, the temperature and like the air in the room is always weird because there's always a bunch of people, right? So you have all these people packed in this like hotel, like conference room place, right? Mm-hmm. And then like the temperature will always be weird where it's like, it's this combination of like, there's almost this like, I don't know if this makes any sense scientifically, but it feels like there's like humidity to the room because there's all the body heat.
Yeah.
But then for some reason, like maybe to counteract all the people being in there, they set the like AC to be too cold. So your like hands are always cold, but like vaguely sweaty.
Okay.
And then like by the end of the day, and then you get nerves from the finals and stuff, you just get this weird, like your hands are cold, but also slightly damp, which is like a terrible combination for trying to like have a steady grip and like do all these things with your fingers. And so I think what I learned from this time around is that, because I think the biggest thing that helped me choke so hard on those first two solves was that like my hands were just fucking weird, and I was trying to get used to like my grip on the puzzle.
Yeah.
And then it was combined with like I did have a little bit of a mental lapse on the first one. So I think if I'd kept my hands dry, I think I would have had that 8 to start off still. That first solve still would have been bad, but then I think the second solve would have been way better.
Need like the air thing at the bowling alleys.
Yeah,
like the little thing that blows the cold air for you.
Well, some people, they'll take like a little like towel or like one of those like hand warmer thing, and they'll like touch it. They'll like kind of squeeze it and like touch it before they do a solve.
Yeah.
I've always been just very simplistic. People always have these routines, right, where they have another cube with them that they use to warm up to get ready. So they're in the waiting area and they're fucking doing all these like, what?
Is it weighted?
No, that's a good idea though. But no, like they'll just be like doing a bunch of warm up stuff, and then they'll have the towel to dry their hands off right before they do the solve. And I always just go over there. I just sit there. I don't have anything to warm up with. I'm just sitting there. And then when I go to do my solve, I don't dry my hands off or anything. I just do it, right? And it's just like, so I think maybe I'm starting to realize that like at my level I'm reaching, not that I'm like really good or anything, but like at my level I'm reaching where I'm like I'm semi-serious with most events I do, and I'm like reasonably average to okay to above average in some things I do. I think I need to start getting more serious about my routine beforehand of like it being prepped, right? Yeah. I need to have my hands need to be dry in this optimal state. Like I need to take that more seriously.
I think a routine so you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah,
all you have to know is you have to do step one of the routine.
Exactly.
And before you know it, you're setting records.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, and you judge for Nathan Ron?
Oh, yeah, Nathan Ron. He got a 4.95 second solve on square one, which is this puzzle that like shape shifts. It turns into this thing because the corners are like fat, and then the edges are these little pizza wedge things. And so, actually, well, it's not going to help anyone listening, but I can show you. I've got one with me. So this is square one. Whoop, there we go. So it's in like a cube shape ish, but then if you do like these turns with it, you'll notice that like it changes shape like pretty much immediately. Well, you did. You did like so actually what you did there is you misaligned it a little bit and then that actually you'll notice it kind of kept cube shape. And now when you didn't misalign one layer, now it's like that's what we call kite because both of those look like a kite. But you have to like get it into cube shape, and then you have to like solve it by misaligning the layers and then like doing all these different turns. So he got 4.95 seconds on that, which is like 31st in the world. And so I was judging his solve while he did that. Yeah, and that was pretty intense because you go into a solve like that as a judge, and you're never expecting like an amazing like top in the world like level solve when you're watching. So you're just like, it's just another solve, right? And so you're just watching this thing like, oh, this guy's fast, so I know it's going to be like good, but you're never expecting like a world record or anything crazy. And so like I'm just sitting here watching like, all right, what's this square one solve about to look like, right? And then all of a sudden I see him like the moment that he started, I just remember he started turning really quickly. Like he had crazy turn speed, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like he's like, because I know enough about square one to watch as the solve's unfolding to see kind of like where he's at in the solve, right? So like someone who doesn't know anything about it, they have no idea when the solve's going to end, right? They're just seeing him do stuff, right? But as somebody who's like an insider, right, I can see the steps that he's completing in kind of quickly. I can kind of keep up with what's happening. And so he got to a late stage of the solve way sooner than I expected. And I was like, whoa, holy shit, he's almost done already. Yeah. And then he got 4.95, which is 31st in the world. So I was like, that was crazy. So
nice.
That was fun. Fun time.
We'll cut that clip and put it in here.
Yeah, there you go.
Everybody can see it on YouTube. Yeah. Well, speaking of growth of his channel, maybe we should start filming it too for everybody. I got a couple cameras. You might have to look at it to figure out how to use them, but
okay.
You can pull those out someday.
Yeah.
Then, any other comedy wins this week for you?
Comedy wins. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, Iowa Brewing Co. Mike. That was the night that the like equipment started up during my set, and it like made this weird droning sound that threw me off. Yeah. I remember. I was trying to remember that set. Yeah, that. Yeah, that was it was an okay set. It wasn't really that great, but it was one of those times where it reminds you like how stand up is this live thing. And like you don't ever know what's going to happen, and you have to be ready to just handle whatever. Right? Someone might say something weird out of nowhere that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
Or equipment might start up depending on what venue you're in and make some weird sounds, like an air conditioning unit comes on or whatever. Right? There's all kinds of weird things that can happen that you don't ever plan for. And then
you ever heard anybody just fart?
I haven't yet.
That'd be funny.
That would
after somebody bombs, just farts.
Oh yeah, the comedian.
Yeah.
I actually really want to see that now. Yeah, someone just bombs really badly, and then they just leave a bomb on stage and just walk off. My God,
that'd be funny.
I thought you were just like an audience member just like rips one. That would. I don't think I don't know how I would handle that if someone just ripped ass really loudly, like while I'm like about to like I'm in the middle of a punchline or something.
Get a whiff of it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Just like Jesus. They walk like 5 people.
Yeah. Oh man, I was listening to.
And if it's the guy that just like went up.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus. I was listening to one of the Joe Rogan episodes recently with Fahim Anwar because he's one of my favorites.
Okay.
And I was listening to that like on the drive, a little bit on the drive to the competition yesterday, and then a little bit on the drive back, and then on my way over here, I was listening to the like more of it. But anyway, what were we talking about? I had a total mental lapse. This was connected to what we were just talking about.
Farting on stage?
No, I wasn't farting on stage. It was oh damn.
Been hitting the pen a little too hard.
I have no clue what I was just about to say.
Fahim, what's his name?
Fahim Anwar.
On Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
You're listening to it?
Yeah.
What about it?
And they were talking about
I think we just talked about skew.
Audiences and
like hecklers or something.
Maybe it was something related to that. I got to put a pin in that one. Damn.
Feel the momentum going and just shut down.
Yeah. Just completely shuts down. Jesus Christ.
That's funny.
This is great podcasting so far. This is a great start to the episode. As we talked about my cubing competition, and we both talked about how, we both had sets that weren't like great. And we were talking about how, stand up, like sometimes you deal with those weird moments. And then I just was like, I was listening to a podcast episode recently. I don't know what about it. Just I was listening to it. Yeah.
Should we talk about delusional people in comedy? No, I'm just kidding.
We could.
There's always a trend, I think.
What's the trend?
I'm not going to say it. There's always certain patterns.
Yeah.
You can tell about the delusional people, how good they say they are.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Like the stages that they kind of go through or something, or?
Yeah. Or they're all women. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn.
No, I'm just kidding.
They're all women, and they're all always pro-Palestine. Weird.
Yeah.
Trying to call back to last episode where it feels like we droned on and on about Israel, Palestine for like 45 minutes or something.
Oh, yeah, at the very end, yeah. There is always people are pro-Palestine. They're always pro-Ukraine.
Yeah.
And those things don't really match either. They shouldn't match. And it's also weird that like Ukraine's committing like war crimes, and you see it all over YouTube and Instagram, and they still support it. But then you go back to Free Palestine stuff, they support that, and it's like they support. I could guarantee I could guess what they support and don't support about any topic.
Oh yeah,
gun control, no. Abortion, yes. Like legal immigrants, yes. Everything's positive, yes for that. But except they can't live next to them or something like that. It's like as long as it's not in their backyard, they can. People are free to do with that. There's always just. And this is different than the comedy stuff I was talking about earlier.
No, that's There's a streamer. I don't know if I've told you about this before. I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast. So there's a streamer that I watch. I don't ever watch his streams. I'll be clear. Well, actually, I have before. Usually I just watch his YouTube stuff uploaded later after the fact, right? Like he has an editor that'll cut together like segments from a stream, and put it up. And then, so the streamer is Destiny.
Oh, okay.
But he's actually, I think he was like the first, or if he wasn't the first, he was one of the first. He has said that he thinks he's the first, and I'm pretty sure that's probably right. Like the first actual like streamer on Twitch to like figure shit out and to like actually get on and like talk about stuff. Like he got into like and to actually like successfully do it like full time. And then he eventually, like I think in 2016 when the Trump stuff was happening, like he got into like talking politics too. And so now he just does this thing where like he plays video games and stuff and he'll just talk about random shit, but like he'll also like talk, like he'll debate people and like talk about politics stuff, but he'll just debate random topics too.
He's pretty left leaning, isn't he?
Yeah. He's pretty left leaning. Well, it's funny because he's left leaning, but he's like he's not like a communist or like anything like crazy like left, but he's like just more straight, like just kind of progressive, but like just liberal. Yeah. And so like the left, like all like the extreme left all now like hate him a lot. And then obviously the right like mostly hates him. And so like he's hated by like a lot of people.
He debated like Ben Shapiro, didn't he?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he did just recently.
On Lex Fridman or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot, dude. I totally forget because I've been watching him for a couple years now. I totally forgot that like in the last year he's been making some big moves to the point where I can actually like expect to bring him up, and some people might actually know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have a thing with guns too? Was that ever a big topic of his?
He's kind of like, so he's reasonably, I think he's reasonably pro gun, but he's very like I think he's very for like reasonable gun restriction stuff, but like, but not like, he's very, I know he knows a lot and he preaches a lot, or he has in different points in time about like responsible, like gun safety rules and stuff. There's a really entertaining debate he had one time with this, I don't even remember who this person was, but he debated this lady on when the Alec Baldwin incident happened, where he like fired the gun mistakenly, or like it was like it had a blank in it or something, and like the director of photography or something ended up dying or something. Yeah. When that whole thing happened, because people were going in right away and being like, "Oh, Alec Baldwin was so irresponsible. Oh, it's this lefty guy that is anti-gun, but then look, he doesn't know how to use a gun because he's not been raised." Blah 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 blah. And Destiny debated this girl and like put her to shame about how unhinged her opinions were.
Is it Candace Owens?
No, but he had her on recently too. I just actually watched some of that earlier. Candace Owens was on his like stream, and he debated her a little bit. But no, this lady was like hardcore, like just it was all Alec Baldwin's fault, and Destiny was basically saying like, look, you have no idea what you're talking about, because first of all, you're talking about all these rules of gun safety he broke, but what you're failing to understand is like on set of a movie, those don't apply. It's totally different, because like in gun safety, like you would never point a gun at someone, for instance, right? But in movies, they do it all the time, right? It's part because it's acting, it's fake. Yeah. Like, so it's like there's all these like gun safety rules that she's like, oh, he broke this and that, and he's like, you're a moron. Those literally do not apply in this situation. This is a different thing. They have other safety rules that they follow, but like it has nothing to do with a traditional gun safety that you would follow at a range or something.
Yeah.
And then he was also
you should treat everything as it is loaded, though.
Right? Yeah.
Treat everything as it is loaded.
Yeah. Right. Anyways. But he was pointing out that also like there's so little facts that were out at the time, because this was like right after it happened.
Yeah.
And he's like, this was the set of a movie. If you just wait, we're going to get all the facts, right? There might even be like footage of the incident, like who knows, right? Like there's all this stuff, like it's such a like so many witnesses that would have been there. Like you're going to get all the facts. Why do this weird breaking news thing where you're reporting on stuff that you don't even understand, right? And so it's very weird that like it's a weird thing when you think about that, like breaking news. It's like a lot of it's pretty irresponsible.
COVID?
Yeah, COVID.
The entire COVID? Yeah.
Oh yeah, because people just get on. They're like, oh, I heard this thing happened, blah blah, and then they give like one fact that they know, that everyone does know, and then like they give like 5 other things that are like allegedly maybe this happened, and then on top of that they'll lay like an editorial opinion on like what they think, and it's like you don't even know at all what happened yet, like and you're just like talking about it.
We're in the cave, we're in the allegory of the cave.
Yeah,
you know what that is, that the cave. Feels like that's what it is. Like
very
just,
much
you hear just one thing, it's like this is fact, and it's like, well,
right,
there's so much going on, there's so much information and stuff, but you take the first piece of evidence that supports whatever you're thinking. Whatever if you're a certain person, whatever you're told or whatever you're gonna have to think. Like, and then it's just like it's like, how can so many people have so many different viewpoints, but their viewpoint's always right? I can never get over that.
Oh, but he was I think this is why I brought Destiny up. He's talked a lot about this idea that you were talking about, where like there's like these I think he was calling it like idea constellation. I feel I have this weird moment where I'm wondering if I brought this up in the last episode, but I don't know if I did.
No, that's cool though. Idea constellation.
Yeah. So like there's this thing where like he's talking about like where like what you were talking about, where like somebody will have like a certain belief and then another belief, and then those will connect, and then they'll connect to like 10 to 12 other things where it's like, if this person believes this, they'll believe this will be their stance on this thing, blah, blah, blah.
I like that idea constellation.
Yeah. It's like you can just predict the whole thing based on that. Another thing he talks about a lot that I think is like an interesting way to think about it is he talks about when people have these like points that they're making about like this, so you'll have someone who's got their idea constellation, right? So they have all these beliefs they've inherited from something, and then they're defending it in some debate, right? And what they'll do is they'll always go down what he calls this this isn't like a thing he invented, it's a real thing, but he calls it like going down a dialogue tree.
Yeah.
Where it's like people don't actually, there's not any actual critical thinking happening, and they're not actually listening to the person they're debating. They're just like, okay, well, first I got to say this point, and then that connects to this, and then, they said that thing? That means I need to rebut with this thing and this thing. And there's just like this thing they walk down, this dialogue tree where it's like they've been programmed. It's like all this pre-written stuff, and it's like, are you even, like, hello, like, anyone... Like, is anyone online there? Like, are you just like a bot? Like, what's going on right now?
And exactly, because they're also so weird. They're debating usually somebody in a similar dialogue tree, the opposite dialogue tree.
Right, exactly. It's just two opposing dialogue trees. Against each other.
I haven't followed any politics for like 3 years now. It's been so
that's
nice.
Good. Yeah, that's good. That's
don't care.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, and everything is kind of working for the best.
Yeah,
everybody is trying the best, but
at
the same time, like once you get sucked into politics stuff, it's like So but everybody does it. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just I'm sure I can always tell how like what your like inner world is a reflection of your outer world is a reflection of your inner thoughts or something like that, or like you can tell like a lot of people will get very political when their life's like falling apart.
Right.
And it's like, actually, whose problem this is? It's fucking Trump's.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think like how, important do you think you are that your life depends on how Trump runs his or Biden or whatever. And it's funny too, after like 2016, 20, all the Trump people and the anti-Trump people, but then all of a sudden it flipped to the Biden and the anti-Biden.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the same. They're just the same. Yeah. Same thing, just flipped. And it's just, Yeah.
It's weird how like, the stuff that people need to care about the most, they care about the least. So it's like local politics, like from city up to at maximum, like your state, like that's the stuff that's actually going to impact you by far the most compared to like national politics. And then like also responsibility for your own life, like your own decisions you're making, like that's even more important. Like that'll affect you like way more than anything. And those are the things people will actually just throw out the window.
Yeah.
But then they'll be like really invested in like, we got to get this guy as president. It's like, and then what?
Yeah. So many people are so happy.
Do for you?
Yeah. So many people are so happy Biden got in, but now it's like the guy's like falling down all the time. He's doesn't know what year it is. Probably he doesn't. And it's like, everything's fine while like the world is like literally blowing up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, this is better than Trump. I don't know.
Yeah.
maybe not. There's a lot of the constellations are very bright. The idea constellations are pretty bright.
They're very bright. Yeah. They burn bright.
It's all part of people's growth.
Yes. And they will not say.
I got very liberal once, and it was very embarrassing.
Oh yeah, me too. I got like mega liberal for a while in like my early 20s. I was like 19 to like 23. I was like super, super progressive and super liberal.
Just starting arguments with everybody.
Yeah. And now I'm like, now I would consider myself like just left leaning, but like just vaguely left leaning.
Yeah.
Like I look at like pretty much almost everything on the right and I'm like, this is a good idea. This is everything else you guys are talking about is trash. Like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Everything on the right was once very left though.
Yeah,
that's a part of the whole.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But then I look at like everyone else on the left, and then like anyone in the Democratic Party, and I'm just like, you guys are nuts. And they all, if I speak my mind ever, they don't like me.
Yeah,
and it's just like, so it's like, yeah, it's like, I know this has become like a cliche thing to say, but like people talk about being politically like homeless. It's like I do feel like that. It's just like I don't know, man. I'm a free thinker.
Yeah,
that's it. I agree with some people on this side. I agree with some people on that side. I should specify some of the things they say. I don't blanket agree with anyone on either side. There's a lot of things I disagree with, and it's just like there'll be little things like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. This is a good idea. That's a good idea. This is a good idea.
Yeah.
For those that can't see it right now, I was pointing to my left and I was pointing to my right, signifying the left and the right politically. It's a very deep move that I just did there. Right? Yeah.
A non-unified team.
Yeah, non-unified team.
With left and right.
Yeah, left nut and right nut.
Yeah. The other thing with the idea constellations too, the other one is like, so you're going to be free Palestine.
Yeah.
And you're going to be more likely LGBTQ.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if people know what like Islam does to gays in some parts of the world. They typically are Muslim.
It's not good usually.
They're typically tying like gay people up and throwing off like 4-story buildings. So it's kind of like a big identity crisis when you go down these idea constellations. The right has the same ones. I'm just not thinking of any right now. But it's like maybe gun control and abortion or something.
You know what's a funny one is like there are some people on the right that are like low key, like you can tell they're like pretty like racist, or if they're not racist, they're like xenophobic or whatever. But then they don't recognize that they're alienating people that actually agree with them a lot. So like they'll be like, you'll have someone on the right who'll be super like anti-immigration to the point where they're like, these illegal aliens from Mexico, blah, blah. And they're like taking a shit on Mexicans.
Yeah.
And what they don't understand is that like that culture is extremely conservative.
Oh, they'd get along.
So it's like they get along perfectly if they just stop with the surface level weird shit. It's like they actually are meant for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, most immigrants are very conservative leaning because it's like, when you think, what they get like indoctrinated into the left where it's like, hey, we got you over here, like, because they don't understand there's a left and a right, and the Republican and Democrats, they're just like, well, these people helped me get here, so but it's like, well, the whole conservative liberal thing too is just like, if you go back to the beginning of time when there's like 100 people in a group, 50 of them wanted to go see what was over the hill, 50 of them were content with where they are.
Right.
That's like the left wants to go see what's over the hill.
Right.
The right wants to keep things status quo.
Yeah.
And it just kind of evolved from that, but yeah. And then it's like you got the left people are like, oh, let's just go fucking nuts and go figure stuff out. And then it's like just the left that kind of is like, hey, let's see what's over the hill. But yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was going somewhere else with that too, but I forget as well.
It's something that bothers me is like, I think there's like this thing I've noticed where everyone on the left, okay, I'm going to be super generalizing right now, but just to make a point, I understand there's obviously lots of exceptions. Everyone's not the same, blah, 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 blah. There's the caveat. But it feels like everyone on the left. Oh, also, by the way, let me point out something that I just did that a lot of people do, and I think some people don't pay attention to. It's very important to notice if someone says ever, I feel like, or it feels like, they may not even realize they're doing it, but you should note that, like, hang on, this isn't rooted in anything real necessarily. They're just saying they're experiencing a thing. Like, because someone can be like, it feels like blah, 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 and then say a thing as though, like, this is the truth or something, and then someone else will be like, oh, okay, yeah. But it's like, well, hang on, just don't take that as a fact. Like, take that with a huge grain of salt. Like, they just said
as a projection.
They're projecting something. They feel something. Anyway, now I'm just going to discredit everything I'm about to say by saying that. But anyway, it feels like everyone on the left wants to completely destroy everything and start over.
Yeah.
And everyone on the right wants to protect everything and not let anything be tarnished at all. They're like, all this stuff is perfect. Don't fucking touch it.
Yeah.
And then on the left, they're like, burn it all down. We have to start from scratch. It's like,
but they have no idea how to restart it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Then it's like, well, things should just be given to us. Like, oh, the mail service should still deliver every day. It's like, well, no, you just got rid of the UPS or USPS.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not gonna go out there and start it.
No. Yeah. Not at all.
Very idealistic, but it's also, that's how change is made too, is by being idealistic and kind of delusional and stuff.
Right. Yeah. No, it is probably important to like, just as much as I say that like comedy and like having free speech in there, like being able to try stuff and like you shouldn't be canceled or you shouldn't be like shouted down just for trying a joke that didn't work. It's probably not even probably, it is true that like the same thing could be said for like politically, like being kind of extreme, is like it's important to give people freedom to like explore these crazy ideas out loud and like have those dialogues. That way we can come up with like, because sometimes like some sort of crazy viewpoint will result in like one idea that's actually really good. It's like, well, actually this specific like really progressive thing, like this would actually be really helpful if we do it the right way. But if like nobody extreme is ever like voicing those opinions, or if they're getting shouted down and they're like, oh no, that's too extreme, blah, 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 you crazy kids. Like if they're not given that freedom, then we never get to find like those gems that are actually like good ideas in there. They're just like diamonds of the rough or whatever.
I think they're like all good ideas, but there's just so many coming at you at once.
Yeah.
Like you should only like really do one chain. Like
yeah,
I think
you can't
before
do
cell phones
everything.
and TV, it's like you may have heard about like, you might have been an American, you heard about communism, like, oh, that's not good. That's different than what we have. Like you don't have a TikTok explaining to you or anything like that, or like being pro-communism or something like that. You're like, oh, they do things differently than us. We don't like that. But now there's like 100 different things coming at you. Like
right.
Every day you're learning something new. You're like, oh, that should be different too, and this should be different, and that should be different. It's like, well, one thing at a time.
Yeah, like focus on, and also it's just not effective politically if you're like, you're like what you're going to be the party of like we have to do. Like, what's your platform? Everything changes.
Yeah.
Well, you can't
like free and open borders, and it's like we're having this border crisis, but it's like no big deal. And then like you get into the whole why there's so many Chinese people coming over, and then Chinese are buying all the farmland next to these air bases and military bases. And it's like now I sound like I'm a psycho, and it's just like, well, this stuff's all happening but it's like open borders, just let everybody in.
Right.
And I don't know, it's just there's no winning it.
No.
Because a lot of great people get here illegally too. And there's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
Like nothing at all. But
well, and the weird thing too is like people don't realize that like I think this is another thing that I'm probably just gonna parrot everything Destiny's ever said because I've watched too much of his content and he's invaded my brain and now I have to. But he has a lot of good ideas though. But I think one thing he's talked about before as well was like that people like forget that like in order for the political system to work, like to have a democracy, everyone has to lose something. You can't just win everything, right? Yeah. There's no way of moving forward with any actual change if everyone's just 100% like butting heads. Like you have to compromise in some way where like
every change comes with compromise of some sort.
You have to be like I want this thing and this thing and this thing, and the other side has to say like I don't want any of that. And then somehow one of them has to start by going, okay, how about this? I'll let you get away with this point, but then you let me have this. Like you have to do some deal making, right? That's how politics work. That's how democracy works. Yeah. If you don't do that, like, but we've gotten to this weird place where everyone just feels all the time like they're just like, no, it's everything or nothing. It's like, okay, well then they're just going to say it's everything or nothing, and then literally nothing happens.
Yeah,
it's just gridlocked. Like you can't do that.
It just keeps going and going, and then nothing happens. And people get more pissed. And then,
But there's too much pride. People get too much pride, and so they feel like they can't be the ones to like. They're like, I don't know. It's like they think that they're showing weakness by like coming to the table to negotiate.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, that's just how you work with people. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
that's how you do it. Yeah.
I would like to debate comedians about politics sometimes. That'd be so much fun, I think. Especially somebody that you instantly know their idea constellation.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I've been where you're at. Don't worry. Like,
Dude,
you're gonna hate me.
Yeah.
Then one day you're gonna be like, oh, that guy was right.
Debates and just plain arguments between comics can be really funny because so like there was this one time I remember I was outside Joystick and Muhammad had this friend of his. Oh man, I feel like such a dick because I liked this guy too. I don't remember his name now. There was this guy that he went to middle school with, and he was around for a little while, and like he would like hang around. Sometimes when we'd go places, and then like he ended up moving. I think he moved to Seattle, and then obviously Muhammad like ended up going to New York. But while they were still here, while they were both still here. I remember they were both outside Joystick the one time, and then like it was me. So it was them two, and then it was me, and it was Aloe. We're the four of us were standing outside, because everyone goes outside, like smoke breaks and whatever the fuck, like how I call it smoke break, like it's work or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Anyway, they'll go outside for a smoke or whatever. So like, that's like that front patio spot is like the only real hang it feels like at Joystick most of the time because there's nowhere inside to like go off into some corner by yourself. So you just go outside really is what you do. But anyway, so I would always, even though I don't like really smoke, like I would just go out just to hang out. And so it was just us four. And Muhammad was like mad at his friend for something because his friend was like, I feel like such a dick saying his friend, but that's whatever. We're just gonna have to deal with it because I don't remember his name. If I think of his name later, we'll edit it in or something.
Was it Colin?
No. But his friend was like basically getting a little. Oh yeah, because I think it was before he was about to move. It was his like one of his last hurrahs before he was getting ready to move. He's getting ready to move within like 2 weeks or something, and so he was like just getting hammered.
Was it out to Portland?
Was it what?
Was it out to Portland? Moving out to Portland? That Colin Maddox, you know who that is?
Oh no, it wasn't Colin.
Okay, my bad.
No.
All right.
But no, so he was like getting drunk and then starting to speak his mind. You know that dangerous territory people get into where they're drunk and they start saying like
the liquid courage.
Yeah, it could be either political shit or it could be like personal shit. They just start getting wild and loose. And so he was getting wild and loose with like sort of political stuff. And he was talking about like LGBT stuff. And then Muhammad is like staunchly LGBT, like hardcore. And so he was like saying like, what the fuck is that about? And he was like, they were having a disagreement. And then it was funny because like me and Aloe were just watching it and just laughing at like watching the thing take place. And then like eventually I don't remember who fired shots first, but like either Aloe or I think Aloe said something crazy to Muhammad and then Muhammad like fired back. And then like it turned into this thing where like people just kind of started roasting each other and just saying wild shit and just jokes.
Yeah.
And then like it ended with like I think all of us by the end were basically laughing. I mean it's just like, but that's the like I remember like taking it all in and being like, this is a cool thing about comedians is that they never take themselves, good comedians usually at least, never take themselves too seriously. And so even if you get into like a heated debate, it doesn't stay heated for long. It just devolves into comedy after a while.
Yeah.
Because it's just like we're used to this idea of there being a lot of tension and being like, well, like other people with tension, they just get uncomfortable and they panic. But comedians, they thrive under that and they're like, oh, this is the time for a joke. That's what tension's for, is to make a joke.
To break the tension.
And so like that's just the natural instincts kick in. And so you get into this shouting match almost and people are arguing and then someone just like roasts them and then it just devolves into chaos.
Yeah.
But if everyone was like that, where they just like would like get to this high tension point and then break it and just start laughing at each other, the world would be such a better place, I think.
Yeah.
It'd be way better if people were like that. We'd get along better.
If everybody didn't take themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
You can't. You never take yourself so seriously, you won't get out alive. I had a pretty tense moment the other night, actually. I'll share with you if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I went to my friend's house or friend's apartment it was Friday. So Friday was the end of the work week. Mm-hmm. It was a really good first week at work. I'm like pretty pumped. I'm like, all right, now I see a future that I can like get a part of. It's like, just been kind of like unemployed or working job to job. And it's just like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like day to day, but now it's like, okay, cool. I see the future. I'm very excited. I'm just like having a good time. I feel like I got a little bit to dig myself out of, but I'm like feeling good. And so I'm like, all right, I got to keep this going. So I called my friend up. We hang out for a little bit. He lives above by the Burger King in Iowa City. It's that apartment building. I don't know if you know But,
okay.
I'll clip that out. But we were smoking. We're having a good time. We went to Iraq together and stuff like that. So we've known each other like 15 years. So we're talking. And all of a sudden, like, we're pretty high. And some guy knocks on the door and looks in through the window. And all of a sudden, I started getting, like, kind of like, what the hell is this? And Micah took a knife. He's like, I don't know who the hell this is. So he's holding a knife. I'm just high. He opens the door, and it was, like, a black dude with dreads tweaking out, like, hardcore. And he's like, hey. And he's, like, moving back and forth. And I was just, like, I was pretty much looking straight at him. And, like, just sitting down, like, all right, trying to be calm. And all of a sudden, like, you could tell, like, he started shifting around. He started looking around, and I'm like, is he gonna, like, rob us? Like, what the hell is going on? And Micah, or my friend, was handling it like, I don't know, he might have been drinking all day or something like that, but he was handling it kind of weird. And I was just like, if this guy tries to hurt Micah, I'm gonna have to, like, do something. And I could feel the adrenaline building in my stomach. It was like so tense, and I could feel it. And then all of a sudden, like, Micah gave him a couple of cigarettes. He said, I'll talk to you later, something like that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, he shut the door, and dude, I had, like, the adrenaline dump where I'm just like, I'm almost shaking now, because I'm just like, dude, I was, like, thinking of, like, how to stop something if it was going down, because, like,
right,
you're very high, you're very perceptive of what's going on, and, like, a random homeless guy knocks on the door, tweaking out, looking around, and I have got that gay ass Mercedes Benz out front, and I have no money, so, like, the guy probably just thinks, you know, like, oh shit, like, you know, like, and he kept looking and I was just like, so, like, the adrenaline dump was just insane, and I just, like, couldn't stop shaking my leg for, like, 15 minutes, and it was just wild. But there's always, that'll be a bit somewhere, I bet. But
dude, that's good.
That was, like, I could tell myself getting sick and stuff. Holy crap, because it was such a good day, and then all of a sudden, like, I was like, is a homeless guy gonna stab me here in, like, 5 seconds? Like,
and life
is this how it ends,
dude? That's crazy too, because, like, that's life could just do that. Like, you can just, there's all kinds of people that died over some dumb shit, or just, like, something wild just happened out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, bad luck, I guess that's it for you.
Oh man. Then I, like, crazy. Had to drive home after that high, and I'm just like, all right, I can't get pulled over, so I felt like I was in the GTA. And, like, the hardest part is, like, getting in this apartment building in the garage, and having nobody else come in at the same time. It's been like, I've been 50-50 recently, where, like, somebody's following me from, like, the stop sign, you know, where the traffic circle is. Not that they're following me, but there's somebody behind me, and I'm like, please take a turn. So, and it's like, I open the garage door, and they go, like, right in after me. I'm like, God, because it's like, I'm a big guy, like, tatted up with a beard, like, and it's just like, I just want to sit there for a second when I get here sometimes, but, like, it's like, one time was my neighbor pulled in, like, right across from me, and I'm just like, just sitting there, like, God damn it. And I'm like, sometimes I'm high, so I'm like, it's even weirder. So it's just like, but
I've done that before, where, like, I just, like, didn't want to have an encounter with somebody, and so I would just, like, wait in my car, like, I'm just gonna wait for them to do their thing so that I don't have to deal with.
I think you saw that one guy get in the car once, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how he didn't see me get in his car, because it was like, as soon as I got out and shut the door, he was like right there.
Damn.
So I saw him. He said he didn't see me, but I'm like,
he might just be like keeping that, like, inside and just not admitting that he saw you or something, because it'd be, like, weirder for him or something.
So for context, we were at Joystick one night, and it was just a very strange, one of those strange nights at Joystick, which is like every other night now. But
can vouch.
Zach came out first. It was kind of before we really knew each other. You came out first, and I was right behind you. And Chris was the one right behind me, and he's got a white car, and I've got a white car, and your car was right next, and ours was 3 in a row. And I just, like, had to get home. I was like, I got to get out of here, so I got to get in my car. I go to open. I hit the unlock button. I hear a beep or whatever. I hear the lights. See the lights. I go to open the door, and I end up being in his car. And I sit down, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And this is like a weird, like, thinking I'm getting into my car, almost like getting into this completely different car. I bounce out right away. I see you looking at your phone. I'm like, God, I hope nobody saw this. And I just got my car quick. I saw him as he was coming out, so he had to have seen me get in his car. He's not admitting it. But then a couple nights later, I, like, came up to him like, hey, I'm really sorry about that. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you said you saw it, and it was just funny.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, the you saw me, like, on my phone. That's the move. That's the move I do if I see something that I don't want anyone to know I saw or something, or if I don't want anyone to know that I'm or I just don't want to like sometimes. Do you ever like? Because things are so wild today where like everyone's distracted, but there's all these things all the time. People are scrolling and whatever. And like you feel you don't want to just be this weirdo like staring off into space or like looking at somebody.
I am that guy now.
Yeah.
I've trained myself to not look at my phone in public.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want somebody like see me looking at like a picture of my niece comes up like
oh yeah yeah.
Or like it's just dudes without shirts on one time. Just like I don't want them to see that. But yeah just to be present in the moment in public now is it can be unsettling for people.
Yeah. So like sometimes if I just don't want to be in that, just don't want to be the guy being seen being weird or looking weird. Yeah, I'll just like look at my phone and I'm not even doing anything. I'll just like scroll. I'll just like I'll open up an app randomly and I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing, but I'm just like, this looks like I'm busy.
Just frantically going through Instagram Reels. Just, just frantically switching back between Gmail and messages and
exactly.
To type stuff out on a calculator.
Oh man, do you ever do that thing where you probably do? This is funny. You were talking about like when we first like knew each other, like before we knew each other, whatever. The thing that I noticed about you right away that like made me take a liking to you is like how open you were about it, and also just being like a nervous guy and like dealing with anxiety or like having like weird freak out moments. I was like, oh man, like. Because like when you have those like anxious thoughts and stuff, like you just feel like you're alone. You feel so isolated. And so when you meet other people that are open and forward, they're like, oh yeah, I get those thoughts too, or whatever. Then you're like, oh, this is awesome. I'm not like this crazy alone person. There's other like weirdos out there that like we're all having these weird thoughts.
And everybody's having those thoughts too. It's just like my thing is like if you do something weird in public, not weird. Like one time, like my shoe was squeaking and I was walking through Hy-Vee and I'm like, God damn it, everybody knows it's me. And every time step you get, it's louder and louder because there's nobody there to be like, you're fine. There's not anybody there to be like, hey, not everybody hears this squeak. Like nobody hears this. But if you don't have that, you're just like, God damn it. And then you get to like the cashier and you're just like, probably just acting a little weird now because it's like, did they hear my squeaky shoe? Are they going to say something? Yeah. I mean, that's taking a little extreme, but. Yeah. Sometimes you just need people to say, hey, you're fine. Like people you trust.
Like, right. Yeah. No, I definitely can relate to that. It's like.
But you can't tell somebody they're great and the best thing ever at comedy. And when they're not, that needs to stop.
That's
the most annoying thing I've seen so far. We're getting a little meta, but.
Oh, I hate. I don't even like. If I get the feeling slightly where I'm like, even if they're not really doing it a lot, or like if I get the feeling that somebody is telling me that I had a great set and they're like totally making it up, or they're like,
they say the same thing twice is what I've noticed. Yeah, dude, you're getting so good. They say that and then I say it the next week. You're like, all right. You're just trying to hype me up.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I don't like.
I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean.
Right. I like, there are some people that like you can tell they're being genuine, and then there are some people who are like, I don't know, I can't read you right now. I don't know if you mean what you're saying or if you're just being polite. But I hate the idea of getting a compliment from someone being polite, and like I know the difference. Like I can tell the difference because like I'm not delusional, so like. If I have a bad set, I know it was bad.
Yeah.
If I have an okay set, I know it was okay, that there were good parts and there were really bad parts. And if I have like a really great set for me, I know it was really great for me. I know in the grand scheme of things still where it stands though, of like it's still nothing compared to this. It's just like for me, this is really good or whatever.
It's a sense of satisfaction when you do like really good.
But so it's like I know where I'm ranked. I know where I'm at. I'm very self-aware. So when someone like hypes me up too much or like whatever, it's like, dude, I know that you're being facetious. Yeah. Like, because I know, because I'm aware.
Gaslighting or love bombing. Yeah.
Right. And so, I hate that shit. But it's good to like.
I can tell when I think a person thought I was doing that to them.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was just too aware that I'm like, oh, I'm not actually doing that. So now I step back. Right. But I'm like, wait, that's exactly the script that's going to. They think they're, and it's just like, but I think things are getting better with that person, which is nice. They were never bad, but you could just tell that. Yeah. I think they thought that I was like trying to gas them up all the time. Like, no.
Right.
So, but yeah.
No. Oh man, I'm going to flip back to, cause I like skipped what I was going to say. Do you ever do this thing where you like, you go the wrong way out of a room where you're supposed to go left and you go right? And then you go right for a little while and you have this thought in your head where like you figure out after like 5 steps in that direction that it's the wrong way.
Yeah.
But you're like, I just took 5 whole steps in this direction. I can't just turn around like a psycho and go the other way. And so like I've had this moment where like I turn the wrong way. I know within a few steps that I'm going the wrong way, but I don't want to just turn around. So I'll do this thing. I used to do this all the time at school. If I would like go one way, but then realize like, oh, I actually need to be going this other way, I'll pretend that I forgot something, like that I just remembered something, and then I'll actually act it out as though it's happening in real time, that a light bulb's happening.
Hit like all your pockets quickly. Like, oh
yeah,
shit,
yeah, exactly.
My scube.
Yeah, and I'll like do this thing where like I make this perplexed face, and like maybe I touch my head, and then I turn around. Then
everybody
and then
knows you're lying.
Yeah, yeah, probably. But it's like, to me, I'm like, okay, now this looks legit. Like I actually just forgot something, so I don't look crazy.
Yeah, going to a gas station, not buying anything.
Yeah,
walking to a store.
But there's
not
nothing. The craziest part about that is that there is nothing crazy about making the mistake and going the wrong direction and be like, oh, it's the wrong way, and then just turning around. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But like, there's this weird paranoia in my head that's like, you can't do that. Yeah, that's against the rules. Or you something.
Need to tell somebody, and then that person takes it like, that was kind of weird.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, oh shit, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. They're like, all right, that's
yeah, like I don't care. You don't need to report that.
That happened to me here a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago now, or whatever. But like,
yeah,
going down the stairs here, I was walking to my car that was in the garage.
Yeah,
and right when I got in the last landing, the door to the garage opened up, and I like hit my pockets. Oh shit, I don't have my keys.
Yeah,
and so I hit my pockets, and then they looked at me, and then I just like turned around and went back up. So it's like, what did they think I was just like
bullshitting?
Yeah,
yeah.
It was just like a weird, because it's like right almost into the garage, and the door opens. I turn around, I'm like,
yeah,
because it's like this person committed to go down to the basement. I turned back around. And I was just like, I got back up to my place. I'm like, damn, I should have said my keys. I forgot my keys, but I didn't say that. So they're probably just thinking, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Oh man.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We all have those moments, though. You just gotta go with it.
Yeah. Just gotta move on. Yeah. Sometimes I'll actually think about those moments, like not later that day, not later that week, like
6 months?
Later that month or a few months from then, I'll like just remember randomly, like, oh man, that was so weird when that thing happened with that person or whatever.
They remember?
Yeah.
Did they see that? I had something similar too, actually, Friday when I was eating lunch with one of my coworkers, the manager, whoever took me out.
Yeah.
We're going to do some training, and then we stopped at Chick-fil-A, and then there's like, I had a pepper jack cheese on my sandwich. I remember a little piece came off, and we were talking. I picked it up, and right when I was about to put it in my mouth, we made eye contact, and he saw that it was like this much cheese. I was like, oh, that was weird. Like, I was just like, all right, this is this guy's final thought of me ever. But yeah. Just ate the rest of the sandwich. It was fine.
Oh man, I just remember this fun moment. It's fun. Okay, this is gonna sound pervy now, but it's not actually. It was fun for me because it was a human moment that it's one of those things where it reminds you of like, oh, other people are weird and awkward like you, and they make mistakes and they fumble and things aren't perfect, right? I just remember one time I pulled up to a red light, and I just happened to like. You know, sometimes you just look over. You just look around you because you're just like, I don't know, at this red light. You just look. You're not trying to find something or whatever. You're just bored looking around at your surroundings, which is, I mean, honestly, pretty like responsible. More people should do that when they're driving, like being aware of what's around you. But anyway, I was just at a red light. This is in Cedar Rapids. I don't know why. It doesn't matter to the story. I think it was by Kirkwood. And I just like pull up to the red light, and I just like, I happen to look over to my right, and I see a car. And like sometimes you just see commotion or things happening, and so it draws your attention. You're like, oh, what's happening over here? So I look over. I just happen to look into this car, and there's these 2 girls, and one of them is like, I think it's just one of them was like changing, she wasn't like naked, but she was like taking a sweatshirt off and like putting, and then like maybe like switching shirts. She was doing some weird thing like that where she was like changing in her car, and I just happened to catch her like taking something off and like putting the other sweatshirt on or whatever. I don't remember what it was, too long ago, but I just remember like catching that, and then like I didn't look away in time because I was just like, oh, that's funny, or that's weird that like that's happening.
Yeah.
And then she's just somehow, when she's like, as she's like putting the thing over, she turns and we lock eyes. And then, but it was so funny because then
like
Michael
Sarah.
Yeah, she saw that I had seen the whole thing, and I think she had a realization. And she had this moment. She had this look on her face of shock and then amusement, and then like she was laughing at herself, like, "Wow, this is really dumb that this guy just watched me doing this or whatever." But no, yeah, I like those little moments that just, like, they stick with you. Just like, it's just this weird moment in time where two people that don't know each other, they're just completely separate characters living on this planet Earth in this simulation probably, and you were just doing our own thing. And then there's like this human moment where like something awkward happens, and like we had this moment where our paths crossed, our worlds collided in this just weird moment of being human. I don't know. Yeah. It probably sounds really dumb, but I like those moments where you just like you catch someone else making a mistake or just caught in an awkward moment because you're like, oh, that could have happened to me, or that has happened to me, like something like that, and you're like, oh. This person that I don't know anything about this person. They don't know anything about me, but we're just like each other in this one way.
Yeah.
Where we do we get caught doing like awkward things or something. I don't know.
It's always funny too when you catch somebody looking at you at a red light or something like that, or when you're passing somebody. They always have their mouth open. So I wonder if I do that too.
Yeah.
No, I was drinking water. I remember at Iowa Brewing Company on Tuesday, and like I just spilled a ton on my coat. Like it's like something with my beard now, like where it doesn't make a seal, so all of a sudden like sometimes I'll just take a drink of water and like water will just pour down, and I just like I was like fuck, and like in the middle of somebody's set I was just like shit, I hope nobody saw that.
I told my wife the other day about the roast that I hit you with at our Brewing Co. about not the Smash Mouth one, but like the thing where I said that you look like a create a character situation in a video game where it's like a head preset, and then you see it and you're like, I don't want that one. You like go to the next one.
I know, it fucked me up.
I told her about that. She's like, that's really mean. I was like,
it was mean.
Yeah, but it's funny though.
Because you can tell I'm not talking to you about it. No, I take those. Oh man! I saw this. I was like, is that me?
Yeah. Kevin James.
Like, Kevin James and JRE. I was like, shit. I know exactly what he's talking about. Man. Like, I hate him for that.
You know what's funny though is what I think about first. What made that joke pop in my head is I was looking at you and I realized I'm like, I think there's like a preset in the original Sims game when you're creating a sim. And I'm like, it's just like him.
A bald dude with a beard?
Yeah, like just like a balding and then beard and whatever. Like there's just this look. I'm like, that's just like Matt.
Yeah.
And I had that thought, and then I was like, oh, it's just like a creative character thing. Yeah. And then I connected it to the next thought, which is like, I don't like my characters looking like that. No, so I picked the next one. I'm like, I'm not doing that one.
You got hair. Yeah. Why would you want to be a bald guy? Nobody wants to be a bald guy.
Well, I think part of what that is I've always, up until recently, most of my life, most of the time, ever since early high school, maybe even before then, I would always grow my hair out pretty long. I'd have different long cut. And so I've always been drawn to longer hair. And then so it's like if I'm creating a character and there's like a bald fucker, I'm like, I don't want
that's depressing.
Yeah, I want hair. Yeah, I want some hair to.
No, some roast stick with me. That one did, and I remember like 15 years ago, my friend was sitting behind me, and I was like looking up, and he's like, "It looks like you have a roll of hot dogs, a pack of hot dogs on the back of your head," and he touched them, and I think about that every time I look up now too. That one hurts. It's a tough one.
Oh my god. That's so funny. The idea that someone could say something to you and like 15 years later, you're like,
look at
fuck.
It. Look at it. It's like, can you see it?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So like last year when I was bartending at this one place, the TVs were always behind me, so I'd always have to look up behind it. And the whole bar could. I'm like, they all know. They all want to say it.
They're all thinking they all just got hungry for hot dogs just now while they were looking at
me. For glizzies. Yeah. So it was funny.
Yeah.
It fucked me up for a little bit. Yeah, every time I look up now, I feel the same way. Every time I see Kevin James, I'm like, am I that fat? Fuck. Am I? Am I?
No, okay. I don't know. You're not that fat. Okay. No.
Just making sure. All right. Very weird perception of what I look like.
Oh, man.
That's funny. All right.
I like, the funniest part about this is I like that you're like, he thinks I look, it's so funny, is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Okay. Time, yeah.
I was like, I like how I roast you at that, and then your thought is like, he thinks I look fat, like that one really accomplished fat guy.
Yeah, Kevin James on JRE.
It's like Kevin James on JRE rather than just some random fat guy on the street that you see. Yeah. You're like, no, I look like Kevin. If I'm going to look like a fat guy, I look like Kevin James. Yeah.
I don't like Kevin James.
No,
because I remember on Reddit once I read that he was rude to people.
Oh yeah,
it's like a TIL. It's like today I learned Kevin James is a very big asshole and rude to like waiters and waitresses. It's like, that son of a, and like. That's one thing, like, every time I've seen him, like, in Grown Ups, I'm like, fuck this guy. And, like, every TV show, like, Here Comes the Boom, I'm like, fuck him. This is actually kind of funny. He is, like, a very funny guy. How it just, like, kept with me.
You know what? I haven't watched it in a long time, but I went through a phase in my life where I binged the fuck out of King of Queens. And that is one of those shows, dude, where it's, like, it is such a, like, if you talk to, like hipsters and whatever other people like that, like, or hipster adjacent people, they will shit all over that show. And look, there's probably plenty of weak points of that show that you could shit on, whatever. I always like every fucking show ever. I fucking loved that show. And I still do. I feel like if I watched it today, it would still bring a smile to face. I like that show. There's something weird about, like, there's like sitcoms when they're done right, there are like cheap, obvious sitcoms with very obvious comedy writing.
2 stories going on. There's always 2 stories going on. They need to both be resolved, but there's a bigger story going on that they're still following. Yeah.
Right. But I think what it is there's like a very specific formula, like you're talking about. And like whenever shows fall really neatly into a formula, and this happens with other things too, like books or something.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's always a setup or like a premise is set up, and then the whatever that is. But then it's like it gets layered in the second act. Then there's the same. It calls back to it, and then in the third one at the very, very end, it ties like all 3 setups for the entire episode into one.
Right,
and it's like every episode, but it's so funny because it's always like that. But
but there's something like whenever art is formulaic like that, so everything kind of can fall into formulas, and often does. Like that's how successful like that's how good stuff works, right?
It's always the hero's journey.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like there's a good thing to that, like, or whatever. But like some stuff falls really strictly into it. Where it's like it's super formulaic, and whenever it gets there, most people, their instinct is to shit on it, and they're like, "Oh, fuck that thing" or whatever. And I totally get it
because it used to be your favorite show, followed the same thing. Your first favorite show was the same thing.
After
you've seen it like 5 times, you're like, "Fuck, this is stupid." It's like,
But
I'll watch Workaholics every day.
Oh yeah.
It's just, sorry, go on.
No, but it's like there's something about those shows that, like, if they're done correctly, and I don't even know what I mean by that. They're endearing to me. There's like this, it's, I think maybe because I'm recognizing the fakeness of like, oh, this is this very strict formula, blah, blah, blah. But when it's done well, it's like you're watching this thing play out where they stick the landing, and they're like, oh, they did that perfectly to a T the way they're supposed to. And there's something weird about that that's satisfying to me that I think for some people is very unsettling, and they're like, fuck that, I hate that. I like stuff like that sometimes. Yeah. But it has to be done. It has to be done where if you're going to be really formulaic, you better like hit every note perfect, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just formulaic bullshit where it's just like, but they didn't even do that right, and it just sucks. But like stuff like King of Queens, I feel like it like hits all the notes perfectly. So it is super formulaic, but they did it all perfectly the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And so it hits all the right notes, and then it it's that nice combination where there's like those little moments where like there's just enough, like it's not a lot, but there's just enough like character development, and like the acting is like just good enough that like you kind of care about the characters after you get into like the first season or something, that when stuff happens it pulls on your heartstrings a little bit. There's plenty of comedy, and it's contrived, and it's whatever, but like they just do everything right. And there's stuff like that I really like that's just like super formulaic, and then everyone else fucking hates it. But anyway, that was a long story to just say a lot of people hate King of Queens. I'm like a fanboy.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, I watched a lot of it for a while. Like it
was pretty funny.
I don't remember when it was, but yeah. Oh, but you know what everyone agrees on? Usually people that hate King of Queens, they'll give one pass to it. They'll throw their hat down, they'll say, okay, this part though is good. And I love it. And it's Jerry Stiller.
Yeah.
Jerry Stiller's character in that show is very well done. He was super funny in that show.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Do you read a lot of Kings of Queen subreddits and stuff, or?
I have, dude. I bet they're probably. You know what?
There's probably fan fiction. I remember.
Oh, there probably is. I haven't even thought about that, but yeah, like
I saw a home improvement fan fiction one.
Really?
It was like Jill starts a baking class every week, and then Tim gains like 50 pounds because he eats all the treats every week. It was like this whole story about that. It was a whole episode written out about that. It was so funny.
Holy shit, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of good subreddits that I probably should get into. We've talked about. Have we talked about the Fighter and the Kid subreddit?
No.
Are you familiar with the Fighter and the Kid subreddit?
A little bit. They kind of hate on Brendan Schaub. No, they hate on him. Like their fans hate on him.
So aggressive, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's so funny. I've just like it's so interesting because there's this whole community there. There's this community of people that they have these very specific lingo. They have their own memes that they've come up with. Yeah. It's all super niche.
Well, I'm part of that, but for like Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
That's the subreddit I subscribe to. That's the one. Yeah. I mean, I got the Instagram channel with it, or I had it.
Right.
But yeah, it's like all the very niche words for like if you. It's fun too when you say one of them and somebody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like you're talking about like the shaman or something like that. You're like,
I had this moment early in stand-up where I mentioned like a Your Mom's House bit that like was something because what it was was that so I don't know how closely you've ever followed Your Mom's House, but like there was a bit that was going for a while where like any one of the producers had said that like he just made this offhand comment that hot sauce is the best. Mm-hmm. And then they like ran with Tom, like roasted the fuck out of him for no reason, just because he thought it was dumb that he said it.
Yeah.
And so he like mocked him and said it in a weird voice, like hot sauce is the best. And then like it just turned into this roasting meme of like any where they just like would always have these hot sauce is the best references. It escalated to the point where the guy Sean Evans from Hot Ones, he like made a clip that he sent into them to play on the podcast. And it was like an intro to an episode or whatever. And it's like super cinematic and Hot Onesie, right? Like whatever. And then he stops and he's like, he looks at the camera and he's like, and you're right, Ennie, hot sauce is the best. And like, it's just like, it just kept like, they kept taking it to the next level. Anyway, I was very inspired by that. Loved the hell out of that meme. And so I once went on Pornhub and just started trying to put hot sauce is the best on a bunch of... I would just click on random porn videos and I would comment and be like, hot sauce is the best.
Found a Pornhub commenter.
Yeah.
You're a very rare breed.
I would just do that. Oh, you know another one that I did one time is... it's because Bert Kreischer had that tour.
It'd be funny if somebody got like synchronicities.
Yeah.
And they knew the meme and all of a sudden they started seeing it in their Pornhub searches. They started telling their therapist about the synchronicities.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the most important part. I didn't necessarily just go to random porn videos. I did do that a little bit. But one of the things I did is I specifically just searched for hot sauce and tried to find weird, just anything that involved hot sauce. And I was like, hot sauce is the best. And I think I like credited Annie with it or whatever. Like I just like would put that quote on there.
It's funny.
But anyway, I did a bit on stage early on, like really early on. It was probably wasn't a good bit at all. But talking about like commenting on porn, whatever, like that was the point of the bit, was like that, like talking about that weird thing about like commenting on porn. But anyway, I mentioned how I had done that, and then like but I didn't say anything about Your Mom's House specifically. I just was like there's this podcast I listen to and blah blah, like part of the setup I was like explaining like why I was doing that, right? And then like when I got off the stage, because I never had mentioned the specifics of the meme. I never said like hot sauce is the best or anything. I just talked about how that this meme had sent me on a rabbit hole of like searching for hot sauce porn, right? Like this was something I searched and it was all because of this podcast. But I never actually called it out specifically. I didn't say anything about Your Mom's House. I never said hot sauce is the best. None of that stuff. I'm getting off stage and there's this couple to the right. And as I'm getting off stage, the guy hits my arm and he's like, hot sauce is the best. I was like, it's a Your Mom's House fan. Like, it's fun to like, it's fun to like catch those people in the wild that like they catch your references or whatever. Yeah. I love that stuff.
The guy probably made an idea constellation about you.
Probably, yeah.
It's like, what's this pinging to? It's like, holy shit, this is getting weird.
No, I was gonna say before another one that I did. This is the only other thing I think that I've like weirdly commented on Pornhub videos is Bert had a tour that he did. Like, this was early when Two Bears One Cave was just like starting. He had either just finished or was in the middle of a tour, and he was calling it Body Shots World Tour. Mm-hmm. And so like I just went randomly on all these porn videos. It was like hashtag Body Shots World Tour, and just like putting that everywhere. Yeah,
doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, spreading the good word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think wrap this up.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It's about an hour, I think. So
yeah.
Good. Yeah, these are getting fun. So
yeah. It's fun to get in the groove of a podcast, and then it's, you know what I'm finding that's fun about this is like I've done podcasts before with people, obviously, but like normally it's just a one-off thing, right? You have one guest, you talk to them one time, maybe you talk to them again some other time, but like mostly you're talking to different people each time.
Yeah.
And then you're doing episodes solo where you're just talking. But what I've never had really is a multiple podcast, like actually podcasting with someone regularly.
Yeah.
So I'm finding this is fun. Yeah. To just get together.
I think the first one was very formal. This one's a little bit more.
Oh informal. Yeah. We're going to find our groove and,
next week we'll have Austin with us if he doesn't bail out. And if he Austin does, I'm never talking to you again, Austin, if you don't come.
Yeah, call it out now. We're going to be very clear. Austin Ingalls, comedian, local comedian. He's going to no longer be local. He's going to go to Austin. Oh, yeah, I always forget. Austin's going to Austin.
I will write terrorist threats in his name in Austin if he doesn't come up next week.
Hell yeah.
So, and we'll have another mic or two. So, yeah, maybe video. So,
yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Nice.
Hey, all right. Have a good week.
Yeah. Part of my growth. Sorry you had to see it.
Sorry you had to see that growth.